Well, good afternoon, and you are right on time for this live broadcast of the Senate afternoon sitting on this 15th day of March, the year 2023. This is a live broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Members of the Senate this afternoon will be considering a motion on the report of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining and the Senate Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on the approval hearing for the nominees for the appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council. This motion will be moved by the Chairperson, Land, Environment and Natural Resources. And this motion seeks to have the House approve, or rather the committee approves the nomination of MS Emily Mwende Waita, Mr. John Kioli, and Professor George Odera Outa for the appointment as members of the National Climate Change Council, and rejects the nomination of MS Umra Omar. This is a motion that is lined up for consideration on the floor of the Senate this afternoon, and members of this committee have approved the three names and rejected one nominee, that is MS Umra, and this motion will be before the floor of the House for members of the Senate to be able to consider this motion this afternoon. Also lined up for consideration is a motion on the doping menace threatening Kenyans' impeccable global reputation in athletics. This is a motion by the Nandi Senator, Honorable Samson Cherargei, and this motion, debate on this motion already kicked off, and this afternoon's debate will be a resumption of a similar debate that was interrupted on the Tuesdays of 14th March, the year 2023. There is a balance time of 2 hours and 42 minutes, and members of the Senate who may have not been able to participate or give their views on this motion, then they will be allocated time in that duration to be able to participate. This motion seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts come up with modalities that can help achieve increased testing, intelligence gathering on athletes and doping awareness programs, that in collaboration with Athletics Kenya and National Olympic Committee of Kenya to vet all training camps, coaches, trainers and other athlete handlers. Also to initiate investigations at Anti-Doping Agency Kenya to identify and sanction all responsible officers liable for the menace of doping. This motion also seeks to have the Senate House resolve that in collaboration with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission finalize pending investigations and recommend prosecution of individuals involved in giving this banned substance to athletes. And finally, the Senate will be resolving to push the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts that in collaboration with the Ministry of Health to identify and revoke licenses for medics, pharmacies and hospitals responsible for the prescription of the commonly abused drugs by athletes. This motion, debate on this motion already kicked off, and this afternoon's debate will be a resumption of that debate that was interrupted on Tuesday, 14th of March, the year 2023. This is the motion on the doping menace threatening Kenya's impeccable global reputation in athletics. The County Vocational Education and Training Bill, originating from the Senate, Bill number 3 of 2022 by Honorable Senator Moses Kajwang, will be read for the second time, or is lined up for second reading on the floor of the Senate this afternoon. And the County Vocational Education and Training Bill seeks to put in place a legal framework to govern the establishment and management of vocational education and training with the county, one of the functional areas of county governments as provided for under Part 2 of the 4th schedule is to the Constitution relates to village polytechnics and homecraft centers. Part 1 of this bill provides for preliminary matters and sets out various definitions, the guiding principle in relation to implementation of vocational education and training, as well as the obligations of the national government, county governments, and owners of institutions registered under the Act. This part also makes provisions for trainees with special needs and confers an obligation on the county governments to ensure that measures are put in place, including facilities and institutions to cater for the needs of trainees with special needs. This bill is lined up for second reading on the floor of the Senate this afternoon. It is a bill by Honorable Moses Kajwang, County Vocational Education and Training Bill, originating from the Senate, Bill number 3 of 2022. Members of the Senate will also this afternoon be resuming debate by Honorable Senator Gloria Oroba on the provision of free sanitary towels to end period poverty. This is a bill that debate on it already began, and today it will be a resumption of a similar debate that was interrupted on Tuesday 28th. The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, has stepped into the chambers. He will be presiding over this afternoon session. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, do we have the requisite quorum? Sergeant at times, please ring the bell for 5 minutes.
Well, the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, has just directed that a quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is to allow members who are yet to get to the chambers to be able to walk in and enable the House achieve its requisite quorum for the House business to kick off this afternoon. So the bell will ring for 10 minutes, and members who are yet to walk in, then they can make their way to the chambers. The motion by the Honorable Senator Gloria Oroba on the provision of free sanitary towels to end period poverty will this afternoon resume in a debate that was interrupted on the Tuesday of 28th, the month of February, the year 2023. There is a balance time of 2 hours, 41 minutes. And of course, this time will give way to the members who have not participated in this motion to be able to give their views on a number of issues that have been highlighted on this motion by the Honorable Senator. A look at what this motion seeks to attain. The member for the mover of this motion seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Council of Governors, to facilitate provision of feminine hygiene products in all public schools. Also to ensure that all schools that do not have bathrooms that facilitate privacy, cleanliness, or proper disposal of hygiene products are properly equipped. The Senate also resolves to have the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Council of Governors, to create awareness and take advocacy measures on reproductive health issues related to period poverty. Also include in the curriculum a dedicated lesson per week to teach girls on menstrual hygiene. And the last recommendation or resolution in this motion is to ensure that sanitary products will be obtainable timely, consistently, and in a way that respects the dignity of concerned persons. This debate on this motion will be resuming this afternoon after it was interrupted on the Tuesday of 28th February, the year 2023. Also lined up for consideration in the order of business in today's afternoon sitting for the senators is the motion on institution of measures to curb incessant high electricity costs in Kenya. This is by Honorable Senator Mohamed Chute. This motion talking about the production and the total consumption of energy in the country with regards to the economy as is now. And there are a number of recommendations that the mover will be seeking the Senate to resolve on. There is the Standing Committee on Energy that is expected to undertake an inquiry into contracts signed by IPPs detailing the cost, capacity, and duration of the contractual agreements and their implications on affordability of electricity in the country, discrepancies in the cost of electricity sold to Kenya Power by Kenyan, imports from Ethiopia and IPPS, and also undertake an inquiry into the diversion of electricity generated by Turkana wind power to the national grid, bypassing the inadequately supplied northern frontier counties of Marsabit and Samburu. The Ministry of Energy will also be expected to come up with a policy framework that is aimed at lowering the cost of electricity as a way of addressing the high cost of living and at the same time enhance clean energy by switching to renewable sources of energy such as geothermal power, wind energy, among others, as a way of reducing the carbon footprint. That is a motion that this afternoon will be considered.
All right, first order then.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 15th March 2023. The report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Machakos for the year ended 30th June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on the Kirinyaga County Health Sector Service for the year ended 30th June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on Kirinyaga County Executive Staff Car Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on Kirinyaga County Executive Staff Mortgage Scheme for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on Kirinyaga County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30 June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the Tetu Aberdare Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on Kirinyaga County Education Bursary Fund for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on the Busia County Agricultural Development Fund for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on Busia County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund for the year ended 30 June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Bungoma for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on the County Executive of Bungoma for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on County Executive of Embu for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Embu for the year ended 30 June 2022. The report of the Auditor General on County Executive of Meru for the year ended 30 June 2022. And the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Meru for the year ended June 2022. I beg to lay.
Honorable Senators, kindly take your seats. I have the following communication to make. You will rise on your point of order once I'm done with this communication. Senator Mazayo. In the public gallery, Honorable Senators, we have 48 students, accompanied by 3 teachers from Mwasere Girls High School in Taita Taveta County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow Senator Mwaruma, Senator for Taita Taveta, to make very brief welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to join you in inviting the students and the teachers of Mwasere Girls High School. Mwasere Girls High School is in Mwatate sub-county of Taita Taveta. It is one of the best schools in Mwatate. We are very proud of them. So I would like to say that welcome so much to the Senate of Kenya, both the teachers and the students. I am your senator. I am serving my second term as senator. I'm a member of parliament. In Kenya, we have a bicameral parliament. That is 2 houses of parliament, which include the Senate and the National Assembly. The member of National Assembly for Mwatate is Honorable Shake, who serves in the other house. I know you'd have opportunity, if you've not done so, to go to the other house. And I serve in the Senate. I would like to indicate that I am a teacher by profession. And so it means that our teachers who are with you have the capacity to be senators. And I would like to encourage our students also to become teachers. Mr. Speaker, I really get worried. Having taught for over 16 years in secondary schools in Taita Taveta, including Dr. Agri High School and St. Mary's High School, Shangoni, mathematics and physics. And I've had stint to teach at the university, Taita Taveta University, both inferential and descriptive statistics. That today when you ask our students, what would you want to be when you grow up? They say, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. So who will teach you when you grow up? Who will teach your children? Who will teach your children's children? I want to encourage you that in whichever thing you are doing, try to aspire to be any of these things, but don't refuse to be teachers, because we require teachers to teach our next generation. Mine is to encourage you to learn, and now as we move to learn from the proceedings of this Senate, and when you go home, please do greet our people of Taita Taveta. Tell them receive greetings, or you've been sent greetings from your senator. But aspire to be teachers. It's very important, because then we need teachers in our next generation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Majaya?
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kama umeona uchangamfu wa hili bunge katika wiki tatu, ama sasa inaenda karibu wiki ya 3.5, ni kwamba hili bunge la Senate utaona linaahirishwa kabla ya wakati wake, ama sivyo linakosa watu ndani, linakosa masenators ambao wanaweza kufanya ile kazi ambao wanatakana kufanya. Na hii yote inaletwa ni kwa sababu kwa upande wa upinzani walileta mabadiliko ili yaweze kuwekwa wazi, na mimi kama kiongozi wa walio wachache niweze kuwa na ndugu zangu ambao watakuwa na mimi ndani ya ule uongozi wa walio wachache, tukiwa hapa ndani ya bunge la Senate, ili tuweze kufanya ile kazi ya kisawasawa kulinganishana na wajibu wetu. Bwana Spika, unaelewa kwamba katika hiyo harakati tuliambiwa kuna order. Hata mimi mwenyewe pia sikuiona ile order ambayo mimi nilikuwa served nayo, lakini tulikubaliana kwamba kuna order ambayo ilituambia tungoje mpaka hiyo kesi ishe. Bwana Spika, nataka kukuambia ya kwamba jana jioni, wakati wa alasiri ama time za kwenda alasiri na kuingia jioni, koti ile ya kuangalia ushaibu wa vyama, PPT, Political Parties Tribunal, walitangaza matokeo ya wale waliopeleka zile kesi pale mbele yake. Na matokeo hayo yako wazi katika wananchi wote katika Kenya wanajua ya kwamba walijitoa, wakasema wao hawana haki ya kuangalia ile kesi. Sasa ni jukumu la wewe kama Bwana Spika kuliweka wazi ya kwamba hizo taarifa si geni kwako, na wala si geni kwa hawa maseneta wenzangu, na si geni kwa taifa zima la Kenya, ya kwamba ile Political Parties Tribunal walikaa na wakajitoa, wakasema wao hawana uwezo wa kuingilia ratiba yoyote inayoendelea ndani ya bunge la Senate. Kwa hiyo kwa upande wa communication sasa tunategemea hicho kiti ulichoketi, kiti kikubwa, kiti Bwana Spika, ambacho najua wewe katika harakati zako za wisdom unaweza kuona ya kwamba ni ukweli upande wa walio wachache ama upinzani uongozi wake hauko kamili, na umeendelea kuzoroteshwa hivyo kwa sababu ya ile uamuzi ambao tulikuwa tunaongoja. Tumeongoja kwa wiki 3 sasa, na natumaini ya kwamba mwangazi umeonekana. Hata ndugu yangu Cheriote anaweza kunikubaliana na mimi ya kwamba alisikia matangazo hayo na anajua hiyo. Kwa hiyo sote tulioko hapa kama maseneta tunangoja. Anafurahia. Asante. Utaliona hili bunge litajaa sasa. Asante Bwana Spika. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
I need to dispense with a point of order. I need to rule. A point of order has been brought up by the minority leader, and it is only fair and just that I rule. I have enough information from the minority leader to rule. If there's something missing, you could have informed him before he sat down. You could have stood on a point of information to inform your minority leader. But having left him to proceed to conclude the point of order, I think it is now upon the Speaker to dispense with that point of order.
Bwana Spika, mimi sipingi uamuzi wako, lakini taratibu za bunge la Senate, ikiwa kuna wabunge ambao wamesema tafadhali Bwana Spika, pia mimi niko na hoja ya nidhamu. Kawaida hata Halwale pia alikuwa anataka. Kawaida huwa unawapatia nafasi hawa maseneta waweze kuweka hoja zao za nidhamu wazi, ili ukiwa unafanya uamuzi wako unaofanya ukichanganya zote pamoja, alafu tuendelee. Hiyo ndio taratibu ya bunge la Senate.
Senator Mazayo, are you teaching the chair on how to preside over this house? Senator Mazayo, I can rule on any point of order individually. You do not have to rely on other points of order for you to get a ruling on your point of order. And the mere fact that I'm going to rule on yours doesn't mean that after I've done with ruling with yours, I can still give Senator Sifuna his chance to rise on a point of order. So the opportunity to stand on points of order is not lost. So, honorable senators, allow me to just make a very short ruling on the point of order by the minority leader. Indeed, honorable senators, we have been in this house on this particular matter. And the last time, and the Hansard will bear me witness, is that we agreed that because there was a court order, that we abide by that court order until the matter that is before the tribunal is heard and determined. That was the final ruling of the chair on this particular matter. Today, the minority leader, standing on a point of order, has indicated that that particular matter has since been determined, and therefore the chair is now free to proceed to make the communication on the changes on the leadership changes from the minority side. I want to state this, honorable senators. He who alleges proves, and that is trite law. Senator Sifuna, you're aware of that principle, and the retired judge is fully aware of that principle of law. The minority leader, I hoped, while prosecuting your point of order, you will table either the ruling or the order, indicating clearly that the matter has since been dispensed with. Because where I sit You're saying all Kenyans are aware that this matter has been dispensed with. But where I sit, I'm not aware. Where I sit, I don't go by rumors. I don't go by newspaper cuttings, or I don't go by news on TV. The only thing that this chair can hold as proof that indeed that matter has been dispensed with is when either the order is served upon my office, or at least, at the very least, Minority Leader, you table the ruling or the order. Once that is done, then I will move to make the communication. In the absence of the order served upon the office of the Speaker, in the absence of the Minority Leader tabling a ruling or the order to the effect that this matter has been determined in the manner that the Minority Leader has said, I'm afraid the chair may not be able to act on that point of order and proceed to make the ruling. I believe procedurally, when a matter is dispensed with of this nature, a ruling is available to all parties and an order is extracted for purposes of being served upon parties. I implore upon the Minority Leader, within the shortest time possible, to make available either the ruling or the court order, so that this chair, relying on those documents, can proceed to make the communication. The chair will not delay any communication once those official documents are made available to the chair. I so rule. Yes, what is the point of order, Senator Sifuna? And bear in mind, standing order where you cannot debate a ruling of the chair. So as you stand to make, to prosecute your point of order, Senator Sifuna, be aware of that standing order. And mind you, it is disorderly to argue the ruling of the chair.
Mr. Speaker, this is why the Minority Leader was insisting that you at least listen to the rest of us before you make your decision. I have a lot of respect for you, Chair, both as my senior in the law and as a Speaker of this House. And I feel it is also my responsibility to extend certain protections to your Chair. Mr. Speaker, the point I wanted to raise on is that, in fact, when you are a party to a matter, you are presumed to be represented before that tribunal. I remember very clearly, Mr. Speaker, in your presentation when you were served with that order, you in fact said that you had been cited individually so that there would be consequences that would come to you individually if in fact you ignored that court order. That therefore, any person of any knowledge of how the law works, Mr. Speaker, would expect that then the Speaker had representation before the political parties district tribunal, and that therefore yesterday the Speaker, whether personally or through the legal representation, was present when the order was issued, when the ruling was made yesterday by the political parties disputes tribunal. Mr. Speaker, that aside, now that you have said if we were to table either the ruling or the order, you would waste no time in making the communication. As fate you have it, and it's maybe because I went to visit the Archbishop this morning and God is smiling on us, Mr. Speaker, I just happen to have received this very instant, Mr. Speaker, a copy of that ruling on my phone, a certified copy. The problem we have, Mr. Speaker, is that I came from this house direct from the registry of a PPDT. It is unheard of, in my view, having been a practicing lawyer before that tribunal and as a Secretary General of ODM, which is the most sued political party or entity before that tribunal, that a decision would be made yesterday, and that even by today at 2:15 p.m. when I was leaving the registry, that decision had not been communicated or served upon your office. Mr. Speaker, be that as it may, we made presentations in this House that in fact We are the champions of the rule of law. We said we would not attack the tribunal. We said we would leave this matter to the tribunal. We said we were the fish in the water that is the tribunal. We knew what was going to happen, Mr. Speaker. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, if you will allow me to table my phone, because it has that order. If it is not possible, you allow me 5 minutes, Mr. Speaker, so that I can prepare and present that decision on the floor here, so that you can then issue your communication, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order? I can see Senator Enoch.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what it feels to the chair and to the membership of this House on both sides when every day for now 3 weeks running we have to ring the quorum bell to get members to come and debate. This matter, Mr. Speaker, has already done what we had said it should never do. This matter has divided this House sharply. This matter has brought so much disrepute to this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with you as a leader in this country. Mr. Speaker, on this matter, if we were on the political platform, we would be saying the Speaker has no dog in this war. This is a matter that purely and squarely has to do with the minority side. The Speaker, I respect the ruling of the chair, and that now the chair is shifting the burden of proof to the minority that EU alleges must prove. The Speaker, there is no allegation on this issue. I remember very well, I could be wrong, Mr. Speaker, when you read your decision on the matter of the leadership of the minority, and you cited an order that had been brought to you, the Speaker, and I said I could be wrong, but I don't remember you tabling that order. You just made reference to an order, and we were okay with it. The minority leader, Mr. Speaker, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. The minority leader has made reference to a matter that is in the public domain, a matter, as Senator Sifuna said, that you were properly seized of because you are a party in this ruling. The Speaker, if then this is the direction that this House has decided to take, then the Speaker, some of us will have to think very, very seriously about what we want in this House. The Speaker, I wish you could just do the right thing, and as I said the last time, as I conclude, this side is not asking you to do anything that you shouldn't do. They're just saying, provide us, just communicate the list of our leaders, and we go into serious business of this House. The Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Chirange.
Mr. Speaker, I think last time, if my memory serves me right, and I want to congratulate the minority side, at least they have followed the rule of law. But my advice to me is that they should not leave it midway. When you look under standing order number 23, it's number 23.6, it says, 5 and 6, the removal of a senator from the office under paragraph 3 shall not take effect until a senator elected in the manner provided for under paragraph 1 Upon decision being made, that is 6, by the minority party understanding order, the decision of the party shall be communicated to the Speaker in writing, together with the minutes of the meeting which the decision was made in the case of removal of the Senate Minority Leader or the Deputy Senate Minority Leader by the Senate Minority or by the Senate Minority Whip. In the case of the removal of Senate Minority Whip or Deputy Minority Whip by the Senate Minority Leader. So, Mr. Speaker, if the memory serves us right, there was a letter that was written by Senate Minority Leader, my brother Senator Retired Justice Madzayo, that said the status quo be maintained. So the question is, Mr. Speaker, is whether the Senate Minority Leader has written another letter, Mr. Speaker, and I don't know why the senior counsel gets worked up. Mr. Speaker, can I finish? Because I have listened to... Mr. Speaker, in conclusion...
What is your point of order? He's on a point of order. So then
can I wrap it up?
So kindly proceed. Do you want to be informed?
No. I doubt, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I doubt the way Bishop behaves today doesn't look like that information is coming from somewhere. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, what I wanted to say for neatness, and I don't have a problem, Mr. Speaker, the minority side can change their leadership anytime they so wish. My only concern, Mr. Speaker, is on two things. They can change their minority leadership at any given time. My only issue, Mr. Speaker, is there was a letter that was written to you and you read before the House, and it is the property...
Senator Mogen and Senator Mazayo, the good senator does not want to be informed.
No. Mr. Speaker, the only time, Mr.
Senator
Speaker...
Mogeni, the senator does not wish to be informed.
Mr. Speaker,
proceed and conclude your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, the only time I trusted Senior Counsel Senator Okongo Mogeni is when he was removing me from Kigiri Police Station. But on this one, I'm a bit cagey. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion is that there are two things that you know, Mr. Speaker, when you read the communication, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of the House, you told the House, and you know all of us were there, minority and majority. You told us the Senate Minority Leader had tabled a letter to say the status quo maintained. Standing Order number 23 says it is in writing and it should be informed. So, Mr. Speaker, in neatness, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the minority leader, and in fact they can request for a short recess to obtain the court order, then they can, Mr. Speaker, you can have opportunity to look at the documentation and make a written ruling. This is a house of records and traditions. We cannot tell you to rule on issues of rumors or where we see in social media or where somebody was in the tribunal. Can they get the hard copies, Mr. Speaker, so that we can move? And that is why I don't have a problem, Senate Minority Leader, through the Speaker, if they want to change their leadership. But what I'm saying, let us follow the law, Mr. Speaker, and the Constitution in conclusion, Mr. Speaker. Even you as the Speaker of the House, you have a right to protect the Constitution. You are not a conveyor belt. It doesn't mean if anybody wants you to rule on something, you just become a conveyor belt. You have an obligation. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, you know, you are carrying the entire legal profession, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, we were debating among lawyers that for the first time in the history of anti-corruption war, we have a commission that has been constituted with 5 commissioners without a lawyer. Because Kenyans are beginning to mistrust lawyers. We are losing public faith and trust. You know, Mr. Speaker, before you ascended to that seat, and you are my good friend, you are my colleague in the legal profession, we had an lawyer who sat in that seat, Senator Ken Lusaka. And we were in this house, Mr. Speaker, when we brought to his attention the fact that Senator Lelegwe had been arrested. There was no evidence at all It's by word of mouth. And he believed us because we are all honorable members of this house. When Senator Malala was arrested, we didn't have any evidence that we tabled before Speaker Lusaka. But Speaker, he had joined the House. He had joined the House for us to go and look for Senator Malala and confirm to the House if he had been arrested, the House was going to adjourn. That is the trust with which we have carried our business. Already, Mr. Speaker, the Senate is looking badly out there. We are fighting over a very small matter involving leadership of the minority side. And I want to state, we as the minority side can never dictate who will be the majority leader or the majority whip. We can never dictate. Mr. Speaker, I've been privileged to receive a copy of the ruling that has been delivered by the tribunal. And me, I'm an SDA. It's on my phone. I've read it. Complaint E003. Mr. Speaker, that complaint has now been dismissed by the tribunal. The directive that you gave to this house, and we respected your ruling, was to the effect that that matter will be left in abeyance till you receive the ruling. The ruling is before you. And as a way of tabling it, Mr. Speaker, I've forwarded a copy via WhatsApp to the clerk of the Senate. And Mr. Speaker, I know, Mr. Speaker, sir, you have been out of practice. You have been a governor for the last 10 years. Senator Cherage will tell you, Mr. Speaker, nowadays we serve orders through WhatsApp. He will confirm. He's here, he's a lawyer. I mean, so really, we have that title, honorable members. If the issue was the Speaker to be served with the ruling of the tribunal, that has already been done. Let's not play games with a very small matter. There are so many issues that we need to come together and discuss as senators. You have the Constitutional Amendment Bill that touches on our welfare as senators. That's what we should be debating here, Mr. Speaker. We have serious issues touching on devolution that we should be debating. On this one, Mr. Speaker, I want you to reflect on the prayer that we said this afternoon before we commenced business. We started by saying, Almighty God, beseech us to behold. We can recite it, Mr. Speaker. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I beseech you, let's have a moment and reflect. We also, Mr. Speaker, as our colleague, we want to be proud of you as our Speaker. We don't want people to start bashing lawyers. I'm a lawyer, a very proud one. I'm proud of my legal profession, Mr. Speaker. And I want you to uphold the integrity of the legal profession. Let us agree, Mr. Speaker, that now that this ruling is before you, Mr. Speaker, do the right thing this hour, this moment. So that when you retreat, Mr. Speaker, tonight, in your memos, you will write that on this particular day, you did the right thing, Mr. Speaker. And you are an independent office holder, Mr. Speaker. You should not listen to any voices, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as I sit down with a heavy heart,
I want to get you correctly, because you're doing very well so far. Are you saying that if I make the communication today, that is the only right thing I'll have done for the time I've sat here as the chair?
It can never be, Mr. Speaker. But on this one, Mr. Speaker, because it's pulling us back, it's holding us back, Mr. Speaker. And that's why I began by saying that I'm speaking as your colleague, Mr. Speaker. Do the right thing. Majority Leader, Senator Cheriot, there are serious issues that can, so that we make progress, Mr. Speaker. You can even not directing you, Mr. Speaker. You have many options. You can even step down from the chair, write the communication, come and make it, and we make progress, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we are going to look so bad out there, Mr. Speaker, as a Senate, and that is not in the best interest of this House. I beseech you,
Senator Mogeni, do you want to be informed?
Yes. Who is informing me?
Senator Fak.
Oh, that's my colleague, a lawyer. I welcome his information. And next time, Senator Cheragei, you are locked up, I will not come to remove you. Now that you are...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to inform the House and Senator Mogeni that the Senate was the subject of an editorial this morning by the Nation newspapers. So if you think that some of us think that this matter is trivial, look at the editorial of the Nation newspapers today. Thank you. Daily Nation.
And Mr. Speaker, because I don't want to leave everything to chance, Mr. Speaker, I have before me the decision of the tribunal in complaint number E003 of 2023, Fatuma Adan Dulo versus Azimio la Umoja Coalition against Stuart Mazayo as interested party, Ledama Olekina as second interested party, and the Speaker of the Senate as a third interested party. Mr. Speaker, at page 18, which deals with the appropriate orders, it says, and I wish to read with your permission, Mr. Speaker, that having found that the tribunal lacks jurisdiction, it follows that delving into the question of the second complainant is representation will be an exercise in futility. That leaves no option but to down our tools and have the complaint struck off. So, Mr. Speaker, as you speak, the complaint that was the subject of the injunction that was served upon your office has now been dismissed and vacated. This order is certified as a true copy of the original by the political parties dispute tribunal. Mr. Speaker, I beg to table before the House a copy of the said ruling, and I so do.
What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I should conclude, then you can contribute.
Senator Mogeni, kindly proceed to conclude.
Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, now that you have already given your ruling, that once you are served with that order, you will proceed expeditiously and make your communication. We have done what was required of us. Senator Cheragei said the burden was on our side. We have discharged that burden. Mr. Speaker, now the burden shifts to your office, and we beseech you now to also discharge your burden and bring to an end this matter so that we can conduct the business of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Aaron.
You know, Mr. Speaker, like I've always said in this matter, I don't have a dog in this fight. And I'm least interested in the decisions of the minority side. I have told you that I only have one simple request to you, that you protect and safeguard the time of this House. It cannot be that every afternoon we gather here, we spend 30 minutes to an hour arguing over a very simple matter, Mr. Speaker. That's my only request. Mr. Speaker, what the minority, I like the direction that Senator Mogeni is taking, but what the minority leader was inviting you to do earlier, that was akin to turning this House into a circus. How can you as a speaker rule on the basis that there is a communication that has been issued somewhere, and you have said clearly that you have not heard of it, you have not seen it, and therefore you ask them that the minute they bring it to your attention, you will do the needful. Mr. Speaker, since then Senator Mogeni has gone ahead and produced and given you the purported orders. I am sure, Mr. Speaker, there is a process through which you will conclude this matter in a very fair and simple matter. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, Do you want to tell me that every now and then I can just purport you or ambush you?
Senator Sifuna, you've been doing very well. But you're getting...
You will have your time. He will have his time.
Senator Sifuna, kindly let Senator Aaron be heard in silence.
Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker, if it has been presented to you, and Senator Mogeni, Senator Madzayo, you have been in this house long enough. Please quote for me an instance where anybody has come and tabled anything before the Speaker and has told the Speaker, please go ahead and read it as is. Honestly. Even if it is a ruling and he's supposed to make this afternoon, surely there's something that he sits down, types, and gives out a communication. So what do you want him to rule about? Mr. Speaker, please safeguard the time of this House.
Senator,
if you made a ruling.
Order, senators. You interrupt Senator Aaron and I throw you out. The chair knows exactly what he's doing. I had made a ruling, and thank God Senator Mogeni, in obedience to that ruling, has tabled a ruling. Let's take it up from there.
Yes.
A shouting match won't take us anywhere. Whether he's going back or going forward, it is up to the chair to rule whether he's out of order or he's not out of order. Kindly, do you want to be informed by Senator
By
Enoch?
who, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Enoch.
No, Senator Enoch of the previous Senate would have informed me, but since he teamed up in Azimio, I don't like his thinking anymore.
So
he's
proceed
not
to
as clear
conclude
as he
your
used to
thoughts.
be, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Anyway, finally, Mr. Speaker, my humble request, please issue a ruling and let the matter rest. There is a bad precedent that is being set in this House, and even on my side, I will never encourage it. The minute you issue a ruling, whether I agree with you or I do not agree with you, you are the final authority of the House. Once you've given a direction, I will live by it. In the past, now, and in the future, I give you my assurance, Mr. Speaker, that is a tradition of the House which I don't want you to violate, Mr. Speaker. Please stick by it.
Senator Boni, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to note that the Senator for Nyamira has tabled the ruling. And Mr. Speaker, on my point of order, I want to draw your attention to the traditions and practices and customs of this House. When a document is tabled, the Speaker takes time while on the chair, looks at the report while on the chair, and if the document is admissible, the Speaker then informs the House that it is admissible. Mr. Speaker, if indeed you have looked at it and it is admissible, then it will mean that we are now aware that a decision has been made. And if that is the case, Mr. Speaker, what is the big deal? Go ahead and make your ruling so that we can proceed with the business of this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the only thing that I would request you include in your ruling on this very straightforward issue are the 2 points that were raised in further points of order when the matter was brought up. The first one was raised by the Senator of Makueni, who told you, Mr. Speaker, that the principle of sub judice applies as much to this House when a matter is active in court as it applies to the court when a matter is active here. You need to give that clarity so that no other senator will go into a misadventure of carrying a matter which is here and taking it to court. That standard should be high and should remain there. And then the second thing, Mr. Speaker, which came out of the subsidiary points of order, is whether a tribunal could inject Parliament. You also need to be very clear so that in future when this comes back again, we don't waste time if a tribunal will have attempted to inject Parliament. To me, if you answer these 2 points of order, there is nothing completely which you would lose having confirmed that the document is authentic if you rule now and business proceeds.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, until the time Senator Omogeni tabled the order, I was at a loss, Mr. Speaker, whether we were debating your ruling, which you had given earlier. But, Mr. Speaker, because now an order has been presented to you, I have the following to say, Mr. Speaker. This is a house of record. It's a house of procedure. Mr. Speaker, I have been in this house all the time when this issue was being debated. And I never saw a time, Mr. Speaker, when you were not willing to give your communication on this matter. What was delaying, Mr. Speaker, your communication was the decision of the court, of the tribunal. Even today, Mr. Speaker, in the afternoon, when you were making a ruling, you still said you were willing, ready, and able to give communication. But you could not do so because it was agreed, even at that time, with the minority side, that we wait until the orders are given. Mr. Speaker, now that the order has been given, Mr. Speaker, I want to raise a fundamental issue here. What is the mode of service anticipated in law? Just a moment. I have the floor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are an advocate of the High Court. And Mr. Speaker, once the order is served procedurally, Mr. Speaker, it will now be your business to look at the order and issue your ruling. Mr. Speaker, the other side have spoken that we look bad before the public. It is true. But don't we also look bad, Mr. Speaker, if we also execute the orders you want to give us in a very haphazard manner? I think, Mr. Speaker, I said before in this house, this is the house of national leaders, irrespective of the party and the coalition to which we come from. Mr. Speaker, the much we want you to be fair in listening to the other side and us. Mr. Speaker, even the manner in which you make your ruling is equally important for the public. Mr. Speaker, I want to disagree with my senior Kalwale here, that you can go ahead now and give your ruling. Mr. Speaker, I submit that it is for you, Mr. Speaker, having received the order given to you by the Senator Omogeni, to verify now. Take your time. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. I'm submitting, he will make a decision as the chair of the House. Mr. Speaker, preserve again the image of this House, Mr. Speaker, by following the procedure and give us a ruling at your own time when you think you need to do it. Because, Mr. Speaker, you have been instructed before. Now you have the head of the tribunal. Mr. Speaker, I submit that let us now move forward.
Kindly wind up your thoughts.
Mr. Speaker, I think I have finished. I just want to tell you, don't be coerced by any member to give a ruling today.
Senator Chute.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Ningependa kuuliza kwanza Bwana Spika, wakati order ilikuja kwa Spika kwako, hiyo order ilisimamisha hii bunge kufanya kazi yake. Na leo ningependa kujua, kesho mtu mwingine akienda kuleta order aseme hii bunge Senate isifanye kazi, isidebate kitu yoyote, kweli tutakaa hapo tusidebate mambo yote? Bwana Spika, unisaidie watu wasinili. Bwana Spika,
Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, Senator Sifuna again, and Senator Ledama. Kindly. Let the senator be heard in silence. Proceed, Senator Chutu.
Bwana Spika, wakati hii tatizo ilitokea, nilienda kuona kama senator mzee na senator ambaye amekuwa kwa biashara muda mrefu. Nilitembelea majority leader wetu na minority leader wetu, nikaongea na hawa, nikasema hii nchi inahitaji sisi tufanye kazi, tumetumwa hapa kufanya kazi. Nikaambia hawa wakae waongee, tuone kama tunaweza kumaliza hii tatizo. Bwana Spika, nakumbuka nimeingia hata ofisi yako kuomba kama hii tatizo inaweza tatuliwa. Sababu gani nimesema hivyo? Hii nchi tuko na vitu nyingi sana ya kuongea hapa. Kama mtu ametoka chama yake mahali alikuwa akaenda mahali pengine, na Bwana Spika nisaidie.
Honorable Senators, Senator Sifuna, you're overstretching the chair's patience. Kindly. Proceed.
Bwana Spika, kama hujalazimishwa, umetoka mahali ulikuwa kwa upendo yako ukatangazia Kenya mzima wewe umehama, ile kiti ulikuwa nakalia, waachia watu wengine wakalie wafanye mambo yao. Bwana Spika, ile siku tumepoteza hapa, Bwana Spika, ile masiku tumepoteza hapa, hiyo ni vitu ambaye haingefaa kuwa katika Senate. Senate hapana ile nyumba kidogo kidogo watu wanaenda kuongea vitu ya watoto. Hii ni Senate, ni upper house. Bwana Spika, mimi nakuomba kwa niaba ya Kenyans, hii maneno inaendelea saa hii, dunia yote inaangalia, wanashangaa.
Senator Kinyua, the senator is on a point of order, so kindly yield, let him wind up his point of order. Proceed.
Bwana Spika, sisi ni watu wazima, saa zingine tunakaa kama tunabishana kwa kitu ambaye tungefaa kubishana. Ningependa Bwana Spika, leo sio kesho, ikiwezekana hata saa hii, hii maneno inalete kitu hapa kwetu. Sisi wengine tumechoka, tunakuja hapa mimi niko na motion ya stima, bei ya stima Kenya mzima, watu Kenyans leo, wananchi wameshindwa, Bwana Spika, wananchi wameshindwa kuweza kulipa stima. Hiyo motion mandugu zetu hawako. Sasa wiki mbili nafuata hiyo motion. Hatuwezi kuendelea hivyo Bwana Spika. Tafadhali sana Bwana Spika, na kuomba kwa niaba ya Kenyans, kwa niaba ya watu ya nchi hii, na kuomba leo uko na uwezo, wewe usipendelee pande yoyote. Wewe ni referee, wewe unaamua haki. Ukitaka kuamua haki utaamua na hakuna mtu atakulaumu. Ongea
Hii maneno mtu anakuambia kesho, usifuate mambo ya kesho. Maliza leo, sisi tuendelee na kazi yetu. Shukran sana Bwana Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am one of the senators who's so fatigued. Mr. Speaker, we are being pulled into ODM business. And I'm so fatigued. Week in, week out, I am coming to the House hoping we are going to discuss matters, bleeding matters, free sanitary towels. Every time I come here, Mr. Speaker, somehow we have been drawn in to ODM shenanigans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me just say this and protect me, Mr. Speaker.
Order,
protect me.
Senators, order.
Protect me, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Senator Oroba. Senator Gloria. Senator Gloria. This is an honorable house.
I withdraw the word shenanigans.
Proceed.
I will proceed.
It's withdrawn. Proceed.
Week in, week out, week in, week out, we are subjected to matters that are party affairs, Mr. Speaker. And even, Mr. Speaker, let me just, because I know their electorates are watching, let me just put this out. Kenyans don't care who's the minority whip, who's the majority whip, they don't care. We don't care. When I come to the floor of the House, the only thing I care is that there's a speaker, that we have quorum so that we can debate free sanitary towels. Mr. Speaker, every other time we have come here, every time, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I do not want to be informed,
Senator
Mr.
Gloria.
Speaker. I don't want to be informed.
Senator Crystal wants to inform
I do not want to be informed, Mr. Speaker.
Can you wind up your thoughts?
I don't want to be informed. Mr. Speaker, protect me so that I deliver my message quickly and swiftly, because I'm talking about time wastage, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, so you know, the position of the minority leader, the position of the majority leader, and all other House leadership are extremely crucial for the better running of this House. This House cannot run without those positions.
Accepted, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, accepted, and I am saying they are crucial to the extent that if they are paralyzing the business of the House, Mr. Speaker, they cease to be crucial. And Mr. Speaker, let me say this. While now we are discussing who is the minority leader or the majority leader of Azimio or ODM, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask you, Mr. Speaker, consider some of us who have no business with these positions. We have no business on who is going to sit. Today it is Senator Kajwang who's sitting there. Has that affected whether I am debating or I'm not debating? It has not, Mr. Speaker. So at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, I'm just saying, these are the same senators who have been walking out of this House, ensuring that there's no quorum for 2 weeks. Voting, they've been walking out, ensuring and trying to paralyze the business of the House, yet they want the same House to now come and institutionalize whatever business is happening in their party. Mr. Speaker, it is very simple. Whether it is Azimio, whether it is ODM, whether it is whatever, for us when you come to the Senate, Mr. Speaker, all we ask for is that we debate issues that actually affect Kenyans out there. Mr. Speaker, I beg you and I urge you, for 4.5 weeks almost, I have been waiting for my motion to be debated. And Mr. Speaker, while I wait...
Senator Crystal, I don't Speaker
want to
Gloria
be
has indicated that...
Honestly, I do not want to be informed.
She has enough information.
I have enough information, Mr. Speaker. I have enough information about the matter. I have enough information about what is going on. I have been very absent in this House every day in and out, and I am very much informed. Mr. Speaker, this is my position, and I would like to say so that Kenyans can understand. These same senators sitting across here from Azimio have literally for 3 weeks paralyzed and absconded coming to the House. So they cannot then come, Mr. Speaker, and start saying, we have tabled this, do that, on what moral authority do they have, Mr. Speaker? Kindly. Let me conclude,
Can
Mr.
you wind
Speaker.
up?
Let me wind up. I want to say this. The Senate has been captured by mediocrity, Mr. Speaker. It has been captured by the mediocrity from the Azimio senators. And Mr. Speaker, the same way the President has liberated both Mount Kenya and Rift Valley from this mediocrity, we are begging, Mr. Speaker, that we are liberated from this mediocrity. It's 2023. It is not Maendeleo in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. It is not Maendeleo. Kindly save us from
Gloria.
this. I am done with my submissions. Thank you.
Have your seat. I have been struggling for the last 5 minutes to capture your point of order. All I've had is a lecture, and I've not seen any point of order. Senator Onyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to today actually, without transgressing on the rules of the House, be on this point of order, because I think because of my institutional memory, I would like some of my friends to carefully listen to me. I've been in this House for not less than 18 years. Mr. Speaker, I'm at the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I started my politics with you. You remember when Speaker Marende, that time when we had won the Speaker's position with one vote, and I'm proud that I'm the one who gave that vote. There were certain wonderful, incredible decisions that Marende made. And some of the very bad decisions he made, Mr. Speaker, they include one of the fact that we in the opposition were busy clapping and clamoring on how we are happy that in fact the committees that are supposed to be the oversight committees should actually never be allowed to be with the opposition. How we wish that that ruling had given us that, so that by today you would find all the oversight committees being held by the minority to check and to oversight the majority. Number two, Mr. Speaker, without being personal about this, and I totally understand because sometimes experience and time enables somebody who's in this House to even say some things which surprise many. We are not handling shenanigans in making the argument about why it was necessary or not necessary for this matter to go to the tribunal. The logic, and Mr. Speaker, the tribunal has been incredulous. They have said they have no jurisdiction over this matter. I would like to explain to my leaders in this House that this matter was so substantive, it was so critical, because what it meant is that somebody out there who's having a matter can come and stop us to debate and discuss that matter in this House if this ruling had been accepted. That is so fundamental for the maintenance and sustenance of this Senate. Mr. Speaker, the second issue I would like to tell my colleagues in this House, we may be the people who are going to fight and make noise at each other, but I would love, Mr. Speaker, that we hold our disagreements with decorum and sincerity and respect, so that when everything else fails, we can be the people who can be the line of defense, the last line of defense for our country. This country is polarized. Our country needs deep thinkers. Our country needs philosophers to help us maneuver where we are right now. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would want to reiterate what Honorable Chute has said. It is not trivial. This matter has been rested now, and I would like to plead with my colleagues, can we please carry ourselves with dignity, respect each other, and be able to listen to each other? Because if the National Assembly blows up and the executive blows up,
I would pray that many of you members in this house who are in the Senate, you are, according to me, and nothing changes, you are actually the upper house. Please protect our country in this house. Let us not trivialize our disagreements. Let's be a little bit philosophical, and let us be much more deeper in the way we look at the challenges we have for our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wafula.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Ninapoona wenzangu wa mrengo wa Azimio kwa wiki 3-4 hivi wakija wanasujudu na kutoka, wakifuata yale ambayo wanaamini ni yao, inanikumbusha falsafa ya fisi, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba fisi hakati tamaa, hachoki hadi atakapopata. Na naona wametulia kwa sababu wakikutazama uso wako wanajua wamepata kile wanachotaka. Lakini marehemu Amalu wa kijana alisema, iwapo tunataka kuwa viongozi, lazima wakati mmoja ukubali kwamba unaweza kubali watu wapande kwa mabega yako waafiki malengo ya taifa. Japo mtapata kile mnataka, wakati unaokuja tafadhali weka Kenya kwanza, alafu viti vyenu vya kibinafsi vije baadaye. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator, yeah, all these are points of order, Senator Faki, so we will dispense with them according to how they've been queued here. Senator Kinyua.
Bwana Spika, ninasumbuka kwa sababu tayari wewe ulikuwa umefanya uamuzi kwa jambo hili. Jambo ambalo mswada ama karatasi iliyoletwa hapa na ndugu yangu mwanasheria Senator Omogeni. Bwana Spika, hayo ndio mambo ambayo anakuambia ufanye uamuzi. Bwana Spika, wewe mwenyewe unajua ni wakati gani utafanya uamuzi, ni mambo magani utaangalia uweze kufanya uamuzi. Bwana Spika, hakuna mtu yoyote katika jumba hili anaweza kukushurutisha, kukuamrisha ama kukuambia chochote, kwa sababu wewe ndio una uwezo na una ujuzi wa kufanya ile kazi, Bwana Spika. Na kwa sababu Bwana Spika, tayari ulikuwa umefanya uamuzi na umeletewa barua ambayo wewe haujui imetoka wapi, lakini imesemekana tayari imeletwa siku ya leo, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, wewe unapaswa kufanya uamuzi bila kuamrishwa na mtu yote. Lakini Bwana Spika, mimi kwangu nimekaa hapa, ninaona kana kwamba vile ambavyo Spika unaviongoza hii nyumba, kidogo mimi nina tashwishwi. Kwa sababu watu wanapoongea, nimemwona Senator wa Nairobi akifanya vile ambavyo inakubalika kisheria. Nikaona leo Senator wa kutoka Narok amekuwa mtulivu, Bwana Spika. Lakini na Senator Wambua amekuwa tulivu, Bwana Spika. Lakini mtu yoyote, kwa sababu ukitembea katika bunge zingine za duniani, ukienda kama ni South Africa, Afrika Kusini, uende Australia, uende Uingereza, si mambo ya kuongea katika bunge watu wakubaliwa waongee, Bwana Spika. Lakini mtu akiongea kidogo, Bwana Spika, unamwambia utamfukuza. Bwana Spika, mimi na uoga kidogo Bwana Spika, kwa sababu tumetembelea nchi zingine, Bwana Spika. Tumetembelea nchi zingine na tukaona vile ambavyo wanajadili. Kwanza nchi zile ambazo sisi wenyewe tumeziga, Bwana Spika. Na tunapojadili, Bwana Spika, tunakubaliwa mtu hata wakati mwingine kwa sababu ya ile jadhiba inakupanda, unapaswa kusema jambo ambalo unapaswa kusema. Lakini Bwana Spika, ikiwa utakuwa ni wa kutuogofya, kutustua, Bwana Spika, mijadala yetu itakuwa inachechemea, kwa sababu ukiangalia, Bwana Spika. Lakini Bwana Spika, ninakuomba wewe mwenyewe uamuzi ule ulikuwa umetoa, usimame na huo uamuzi, kwa sababu tumekaa wiki 3, Bwana Spika, bila hawa ndugu zangu wa upinzani. Hata wiki ya 4, Bwana Spika, ni sawa. Hata ya 5, Bwana Spika, ni sawa. Lakini wangoje wewe ufanye uamuzi wakati utakapotaka, kulingana na kanuni zetu za bunge hii. Bwana Spika, nashukuru.
Senator Mwinyi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna msemo wa Kiswahili unaosema nyani haoni umbile. Haoni umbile, yani nyani haoni umbo lake. Ningetumia lugha nyingine lakini sio lugha ya kistaarabu. Na kusema swala hilo ni kuwa
Order, senators. Senator Faki is on a point of order, so you cannot again rise on a point of order.
Well, Mheshimiwa Spika anasema kwamba tumesikia kauli zilizotolewa na maseneta kadha akiwamo Seneta Uroba ambaye anatoka hivi sasa. Na itakumbuka kwamba wiki 3 zilizopita Seneta Uroba alikuwa hapa bungeni
Senator Cherangei
alikuwa hapa bungeni wakati
order please
ameingia katika ada zake. Na sisi kama maseneta, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuliheshimu na tukamvumulia kwa ile hali aliyokuwa nayo. Leo ni masikitiko Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba Seneta Uroba anaweza kusimama katika bunge hili akakemea haki ya maseneta wa upinzani kudai haki zao. Mheshimiwa Spika, mambo yamezungumzwa mengi Mheshimiwa Spika, na nimesikia pia kiongozi wa wengi akisema kwamba tunaharibu wakati wa bunge hili. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, haki ni haki. Haiwezekani kwamba haki zetu sisi zikataliwe katika bunge ambalo tumechaguliwa kuwakilisha watu wetu. Ikiwa sisi kama maseneta haki zetu zinakataliwa, je, wale ambao tunawakilisha itakuwa namna gani? Mheshimiwa Spika, ruling imeletwa mbele yako, na sasa nataka kukabidhi order ambayo imetolewa kuambatana na ruling hili ya court. Mheshimiwa Spika, niruhusu Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable senators, kindly let us not disrupt any processes.
Mheshimiwa Spika, nashangaa wakili kama Cherargei ambaye nimemfundisha mwenyewe hapa bungeni anatoibisha, hajui kutofautisha.
Senator Faki, yes. Kindly wind up your thoughts on the point of order, please.
Ndio namaliza Mheshimiwa Spika. Kuna tofauti ya hukumu, kuna tofauti ya ruling ambao ni hukumu ambayo tribunal imetoa na amri ile ambayo imetolewa kutokuambatana na hiyo hukumu. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeweza kukabidhi karatasi zote, zile stakabadhi zote ambazo Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeweza kukabidhi stakabadhi zote ambazo ni muhimu kuhusiana na swala hili. Tumetoa hukumu ambayo imesomwa jana na tumetoa amri ambayo imeambatana na hukumu hiyo. Kwa hivyo iliyobakia sasa ni wewe utoe uamuzi wako. Na singependa, kwa sababu kuna ndugu zetu wengine wametoka Mandera, Mheshimiwa Chute, wanakuja kufanya kazi hapa. Kwa hivyo tunaomba Mheshimiwa Spika uamuzi ukamilike.
Cherangei, you're out of order and I'm cautioning you. You proceed, you see the door.
Mheshimiwa Spika, namaliza. Tungeomba kwamba swala hili tuweze kulimaliza haraka ili tuone kwamba tunarejelea shughuli zetu za kawaida kama bunge la Seneti ya Jamhuri ya Kenya. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Nyutu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to the current debate. Mr. Speaker, sitting listening to my colleague senators, the frustration expressed by Senator Chute, the frustration expressed by Senator Gloria Uroba, Mr. Speaker, that for about 4 weeks we have not been able to conduct the business of this House in the way we should have been able to because of this matter of leadership on the minority side, Mr. Speaker. These are very valid concerns. Mr. Speaker, listening to you delivering your ruling, I do not think I heard you say that you are not going to rule in the favor of the minority side. I think the bone of contention, Mr. Speaker, is that you have not received communication from the tribunal in the way and form you should receive it. And so, Mr. Speaker, through you, I stand to urge our colleagues on the other side to exercise some patience, Mr. Speaker. Because I think it's just a matter of time, and if the documents they have tabled are authentic, that you're also going to receive your documents, Mr. Speaker, from the same offices. And so in the interest of Kenyans whom we are here to serve, Mr. Speaker, I would want to beseech our colleagues to just maybe give you a day or two, so that in the meantime we may continue dispensing the business of this house. Because, Mr. Speaker, some matters sometimes call for a middle ground. Sometimes I think we should not be like we want to see which side wins against which side, Mr. Speaker. And so I want to rest my case there, as again I request our colleagues on the other side to exercise some patience and give you a day or two, Mr. Speaker, so that we can continue. In the meantime, you can continue with the business of this house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and that is my submission.
Honorable Senators, can I have your attention, Honorable Senators? I've given a lot of room for quite a number of senators to prosecute their points of order. But it seems there's nothing new we expect, even if I'm to allow all of you to communicate. It's all surround one thing. Now, when the minority leader stood on a point of order, I made a ruling to the effect that the only way we can be persuaded by the submissions of the minority leader is when a ruling is tabled or an order is tabled. I made that ruling. Pursuant to that ruling, two senators rising on a point of order, one tabled the ruling, the other tabled the order in compliance with the ruling of the chair. That is commendable. Honorable Senators, this matter must be laid to rest. I will therefore seek your indulgence for not more than half an hour. I will allow a member of the Speaker's panel to take this chair as I retire to my office to do my communication and then move back here on the floor of the House, resume the chair, and deliver my communication. So, Honorable Haji.
Usirudi.